In just hours, the Senate will hold another vote on the House Republican stopgap measure to reopen the government, while Minority Leader Chuck Schumer continues to stand firm on protecting health care. Joining us now, New Jersey Democratic Senator Andy Kim. Senator, we know this vote is expected to fail. What's it going to take to move the needle here?
Well, look, I'm here at the Capitol. My colleagues on the Democratic side are here. We're here to negotiate. We've been here all along for weeks. Well, we unfortunately don't have Republicans on the other side of the aisle, especially in the House chamber, who are here today. And I think that that's just such an indicative of just the brokenness right now. That Speaker Johnson chooses to give his Republican colleagues a paid vacation right now, rather than showing up and do their job.
So the first paycheck federal workers will miss is scheduled for this Friday, and then active duty military would miss theirs next week. I wonder what you're hearing, first of all, from your constituents, but is there a breaking point at which you could no longer allow the effects of a shutdown to happen?
Well, first thing I'll say is, look, I used to be a federal civil servant. I worked through 2 shutdowns before when I worked at the State Department. I remember showing up to work, I wasn't getting paid. It was tough. And then that's exactly why I sat down with some federal workers back in New Jersey and talked to them about the challenges here. And look, they're certainly raising the problems that we have. And that's something that is compounded on top of what the Trump administration is already doing, assaulting our federal workers by these threats of mass firing. But beyond that, just the hundreds of thousands that lost their job over the last year, the continued efforts that are making their jobs harder and harder. This is just in that context, and they wanted me to know that, but they also said to me, look, this lawlessness that we're seeing out there, the effects that it's having on their job and the public service that they're trying to do, they told me to stand strong and hold the line.
You do know that there is a high level, because you talk to your constituents, of concern, because the president has been saying for some time that firings could be coming up. So just now at the White House press briefing, Caroline Leavitt was asked, what did Trump mean when he said Sunday night that the firing of federal employees were already taking place? And she said the president was referring to the hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have been furloughed as a result of this federal government shutdown, both here at the White House and across the entire federal government. Do you think he just misspoke last night? Do you think that when he was talking about firings, maybe what he really meant was that there would be more furloughs? I know you can't get into the president's head, but this matters. The difference between a firing and a furlough to the average American who works for the federal government.
Exactly, and that's the type of just reckless leadership that we continue to see. What we've seen up until now, we've seen already this president leading for the largest effort to be able to fire public servants. This is something that the vast majority of Americans say has gone way too far. And that's something that, again, we're trying to rein in. But the fact that the spokeswoman at the White House said what you just said, I think it shows that the White House is feeling the heat. They know that they are on the wrong side of this debate, that the entire nation right now is talking about health care, talking about how millions of Americans are on the verge of losing their health care. Tens of millions are going to see their prices increase dramatically, including 10 Republican members of the House of Representatives that actually this month said that they support extending the ACA subsidies because they're hearing it from their constituents. They're on the wrong side of this issue. So the fact that the White House is already backtracking, it's consistent with what I'm hearing from Republicans that are here in D.C. or the ones that I talk to, which is that they're very nervous about this. They recognize they're on the wrong side of this, and I think that's why we're going to be able to prevail.
There is a new CBS poll I want to ask you about that asked people about the political parties. And they were asked how they would describe the Democratic Party. Number one, 64% weak. That's even more than the 59% who describe Republicans as extreme. Do you worry that in trying to be strong and holding the line, you could overplay your hand?
Well, right now, what I'm hearing from people back home is about them. It's about their lives. There's one woman that was talking to me about health care and talking to me about this debate, and she said, look, what we need to make sure you all thinking is that you realize that this is our money. This is the American people's money. This is not Donald Trump's personal bank account. This is not to be used for just political retribution and cutting billions of dollars of funding to infrastructure projects like the Hudson Gateway Tunnel project that's going to affect millions of Americans in New Jersey. It's about our lives, and that's what's important. This is not some political tug of war between two parties that is about seeing who has more power, more strength. This is about delivering for the American people. So that's what I'm worried about, is just being able to make sure that my constituents can continue to get the health care that they need. And that's something where the Republicans are standing in the way.
Senator Andy Kim, thank you.